And we're kicking off today with AEW Collision, as the promotion's third weekly TV show finally launched last night. Ahead of Collision, there was a lot of talk surrounding CM Punk and what exactly he'd have to say during his first show back, and the former world champion didn't disappoint. Punk kicked off the premiere episode of Collision in Chicago and made it clear that he wasn't back to make amends or make any new pals. Instead, Punk said that rather than give an apology for what happened at All Out, he's sorry that there's wrestlers the fans like who are softer than they are. Punk then held a red bag in the center of the ring, which was revealed to be holding the AEW World title, but not the title that's currently held by MJF. Instead, this is the AEW World Championship that Punk won at All Out, that he was later stripped of, but Punk declared that nobody could take it from him. Punk said that once he gets pinned, he will give up the title, and with his ring boots in hand, mock those who wished he would give the universal symbol of a wrestler's retirement. The Chicago-made star couldn't help himself and took a dig at the Young Bucks, who, as we all know, were a part of the backstage fight in September of last year. During his promo, Punk said that Warner Bros. Discovery president David Zaslav nicknamed him One Bill Phil due to the fact that he was authentic, unlike some counterfeit Bucks. Fans immediately realized what Punk was referring to, and on Twitter, the Bucks updated their Twitter bio, saying 5 years ago they would have already had counterfeit Bucks for sale on Pro Wrestling Tees. Ending the segment, Punk looked back at the camera and said that he didn't come to AEW to be a star, declaring that, "I am a star," and was one long before he signed a deal. CM Punk is back in AEW and he's not apologizing for anything. And what did you make of what he said during the first episode of Collision? Let us know in the comments below. CM Punk wasn't the only wrestler to make the return at AEW Collision, as Andrade El Idolo was also part of last night's show. The former NXT champion hasn't been seen in months due to an injury, and also being sent home from AEW for picking fights backstage, leaving fans curious as to what he'd do. During his first match back, Andrade faced AEW Trios champion Buddy Matthews, and though his win wasn't a major surprise, the method to secure his victory was. Matthews sold a hurt knee throughout the match, an injury Andrade was happy to exploit, and the finish saw Andrade slap on the figure 8 to get the tap-out win. Of course, that move is used by Andrade's wife Charlotte Flair in WWE, who only recently returned to programming herself after not being seen since WrestleMania 39. There was a time when it looked like Andrade was trying to get himself fired from AEW to return to WWE, but that's no longer the case. And what do you make of this tribute on Collision? During this week's Smackdown, Roman Reigns appeared with his new undisputed WWE Universal Championship title, but brought some more gold to Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. In addition to the title introduced 2 weeks ago, Reigns and the Bloodline were seen with the WWE and Universal titles, raising questions as to what exactly is going on with the gold. When BWE, the proven WWE insider, was asked about this, and the prospect of Reigns carrying 3 title belts, they clarified that Reigns will stop carrying the 2 titles soon. It is not known if Reigns will have the 2 titles for next week's SmackDown or even at Money in the Bank, but we do know that Reigns will only be holding 1 physical title soon enough. The 2 titles Reigns previously held are also not expected to be in the background in his locker room, as WWE is fully committed to the new championship for the Tribal Chief. Now, since being called up to the main roster, Grayson Waller has hosted multiple episodes of his talk show, but one thing fans haven't seen him do is wrestle. As a matter of fact, Waller hasn't wrestled in months, with his most recent match coming at NXT Spring Breakin' back in April, leading to a lot of questions about WWE's plans. Following Spring Breakin', it was reported that Waller was dealing with an injury, but that's not the only reason why WWE is in no rush to put him in the ring. BWE reports that WWE sees the Australian superstar as a big prospect, and they want him to rub shoulders with big names in his own segment before he has his first match on SmackDown. Waller has certainly been sharing the screen with top names, as in addition to Charlotte, the most decorated woman in WWE history, his talk show has also hosted the phenomenal AJ Styles. Grayson's name was called last in the WWE Draft supplemental drawing, but that doesn't mean WWE have nothing for him, and on the contrary, Waller has a very bright future on SmackDown. More from SmackDown now, as after this week's show, Roman Reigns was left reeling from a double super kick from the Usos, which fans in Kentucky took great pleasure in. As Reigns recovered in the ring, the crowd chanted, "You deserve it" at the head of the table, but the Usos may not be the only issue for the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. When WWE's official Instagram account uploaded a video of what transpired after Smackdown, Bobby Lashley commented, tagging Reigns alongside a phone emoji. It's clear that Lashley wants a piece of Reigns and a shot at the undisputed WWE Universal title, as it's been over a year since the Almighty has last held World Championship gold. Lashley was moved to SmackDown during the recent draft, and across the entire WWE roster is one of the few bona fide top guys yet to face off with the Tribal Chief. Reigns is certainly being kept busy with the Usos right now, but he may be facing Lashley soon enough, and is this a match you'd be interested in seeing at a future premium live event? More from AEW Collision, as until recently, it was looking like CM Punk could possibly no-show the premiere event due to a falling out with AEW. That falling out was over Ace Steel and the question of whether he'd be allowed to attend Collision tapings backstage, despite being someone who will work closely with Punk going forward. Steele's role in the backstage fight at All Out made him the only person fired due to the fight, but he has since been rehired, and just where exactly was he during Collision? Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that while Steele did participate in the plans for Collision and did travel to Chicago with CM Punk, he did not attend Collision himself and won't be at upcoming tapings. It's clear that Tony Khan has put his foot down and made it clear to Punk that Steele would not be allowed to attend tapings, and in a rare act of humility, Punk had to back off. Given everything that went down last September, Steele is fortunate to be back with the second biggest promotion in the US, and while he'll have a major role to play with Collision, he won't be seeing the action unfold in person. Ever since his WWE contract expired, Bill Goldberg has spoken at length about having one final match in the ring before his wrestling career ends for good. With WWE unlikely to host the match, it's believed that Goldberg will run his own show, similar to Ric Flair's last match, and there's been a huge update on how things stand. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that Goldberg's last match will likely be part of a show, again similar to Flair, and that a company from Israel is hoping to host the event. Goldberg has said that he hopes for his last match to happen in Israel, which is of course a significant place for the Jewish wrestler, but he won't be the only star around. Fightful adds that the company running the show is also hoping to land Sting, Rob Van Dam, Chris Masters, John Morrison, and other prominent names for the show, but nothing has been confirmed at this time. Goldberg's last match could be a big event if it's promoted properly, and who would you like to see the Hall of Famer face in his very final match of his legendary career? And we're ending today with AEW Collision, as the excitement from this week's very first episode of the show didn't stop when the cameras stopped rolling. In the main event of the show, Punk and FTR defeated Samoa Joe, Juice Robinson, and Jay White, and Punk had more to say after Collision. In a post-show promo, Punk talked about his AEW debut among other things, and grabbed a fan's LGBTQ+ sign in support. With Punk vowing to keep the AEW World title until somebody pins him, expect the Chicago-made star to be on a serious winning streak for some time, and we'll have to see what's next for CM Punk now that he's back on TV.